What is going on, everybody, and welcome back into Byerly Studios. Now today in the studio we're going to be working with some two-part epoxy. As you can see in this video as well as the playlist, we are working with this beautiful Disney Pixar I Lava You short wall plate. Now we have sculpted this at a Sculpey original, sculpted to absolute perfection, and we've already detail painted this. Now each individual painting video is released already at this point in time, and this is the last video of this overall project. Now, you can also check out those individual painting videos as well as the full-length video if you want to watch the more long-form content, where all of the videos are in one singular long-form video. That video runs around 30 to 45 minutes long in total, or if you want to watch the individual painting playlist videos, you can do that as well. They're just kind of broken up into different size pieces. That way they're just easier to watch. We're going to be using Flynn Sister Epoxy in this process, as you can see. Now, I am an affiliate of Flynn Sister. If you'd like some two-part epoxy, absolutely great two-part epoxy, you can use my code B Studios, that's B Studios, to get 10% off your order. Now they have amazing epoxy, and I usually use it for mainly tumblers, alcohol ink tumblers and things like that, but when I do need a clear adhesed surface, very smooth, very glass-like, it is my go-to, unless I'm trying to use like a UV resin or something like that. I really wanted to use a two-part epoxy in this video because I wanted to test to see how well Flynn Sister would work on a painted sculpted base. Very often, a lot of times when you use acrylics over a sculpted base, sometimes when you apply epoxy to it, it can come out with like a sticky texture. And I just really wanted to kind of really test it out and see how great the quality would be. We only mixed up around maybe, I think, a total of 20 mLs after both A and B were mixed together. So it's not a whole lot, and I actually had a lot left over. And I really did take my time to create this glass-like finish here. As you can see, we're going to work our way from the top to the bottom. And I will do a camera shift here in a few moments and give you more of a close-up view of me applying that. I will pick up this item every so often just to make sure that I get that epoxy open over the edges of the wall plate there. And then that way it has a little bit of protecting layer as it kind of is attached to the existing gangplate of the two-switch wall plate. I did design this so that it would go over the existing plastic or metal wall plate, and then the actual clay structure would just kind of be screwed in over top of that. When I was younger, my mother had a 3D wall plate in her house, and it was a Noah's Ark wall plate. It was very intricate, but it was just a singular light switch wall plate. And the light switch, the little switch itself was kind of hard to get to at times as a kid, but as you get older, it just became more easily. I guess the dexterity of the fingers just kind of improved, maybe. I don't know. But I wanted to make sure that these were easily accessible for the kids. Now, this is going in a kid's bathroom, be aware of that. So it's just a fun Disney-created item. But not just that, they're going to be able to enjoy this in their individual bathroom, which is more so of a beach-themed bathroom. I plan to do some paintings of like beach animals to go in there here soon when I get to those around the studio. I got so many projects going on, you guys, and all of these are going to be released to my YouTube channel for you guys. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you're ready for some awesome projects over the next year or two. These could be epoxy tumblers, paintings, dioramas. You never know what I'm going to be working on, you guys, and I really want you guys to go out of your way, try out some new mediums, some new epoxy, some new painting styles, some new mediums in general, and just have fun in your creation as well. I'm making sure to try to apply as much of that epoxy around the ports of the light switch as possible. I'm also pushing that down into where the screws will be. Now we are going to go ahead and do a camera shift here, as you can see, and we're going to go ahead and continue our way down the wall plate. Look how intense the colors become when that epoxy goes over them. Focus on the blue waves here with the little bit of the cadmium yellow hue as well as the turquoise that we have on those waves. Watch how intense those colors become when I get to applying the epoxy over those. They're really going to become more vibrant and more beautiful, and it's going to really deepen the colors. Obviously, sometimes when we're doing a layover like this over a sculpted base, every time we sculpt it, we add paint to it, then we add epoxy, and it really does wash out a lot of those sculpted textures and little minuscule, small micro details. But that's just part of the process. The whole goal is that the sculpting, as well as the detail painting and the dry brushing, leaves behind the beauty that you see in the overall finished item. Obviously, we know what kind of work went into it to create this item. It probably took me a total of 6 or 7 hours of continuous sculpting work, and then it probably took me another 6 or 7 hours of really fun, relaxed painting. And I really did do that over about 2 or 3 days. So over 2 or 3 days, maybe an hour or so at night, after the kids were asleep, I would sit in my studio and I was just painting individual portions of this project. And I really needed to get this overall project to completion, because I have to have this uploaded in the 3D Tumbler Lounge Challenge, 3D clay sculpted wall plate challenge, or light switch challenge, by June 30th of 2024. They also have a tumbler competition going on at the same time, and I really have said it. I said it in earlier videos of this overall playlist and series that I just did not have enough time to do both competitions, and I had already started the wall plate challenge, and I was really invested in it. Not just because it's absolutely awesome, it's been on my list for a very long time, but it's also a piece of art that's going to be used around my house on a daily. It's also a little bit more simplistic than an actual 3D sculpted tumbler, and I have commissions that I'm working on at the same time. So sadly enough, although I really want to participate in the 3D tumbler challenge, I'm not going to be able to do that. We're going to reposition the camera here just to get a little bit of little fine details and a little bit of thicken up the epoxy in particular areas. And here in a moment, I'm going to raise it up and put it on some medicine cups so I can get a nice smooth edge all the way around the exterior and onto the back side of this wall plate here. I will have to wipe off a few drips when I do that throughout the next 30 or 40 minutes, but that's well worth it when it gives a good full coverage over the rounded edges. I really wanted to have as much protection as possible just because it's going to have a lot of wear and tear in that bathroom area. So again, as I stated before, and I kind of got on a tangent here about while we're shifting the camera view here, is that although I want to compete in the 3D Tumbler Challenge, I just do not have the time with my commissions and things like that, and sometimes you have to really nitpick and choose what you'd like to do with the time that you have, and after all, the studio time is time that is taking away from the family or commissioned artworks from customers. So I really have to nitpick over the time I invest in some of these challenges that are produced by either other artists or other groups. So I'm using a smaller brush here just to kind of get this epoxy into some of these little micro cracks and crevices here. And eventually I'll just kind of drizzle over particular areas where the epoxy might be slightly separating from the backing of the acrylics. That sometimes happens, especially when it's on a smooth flat surface like this. The epoxy kind of wants to drift down into the low valleys naturally as it floods down. That pulls that epoxy tension away from particular areas, and it may require a little bit of a light second coat on particular areas of the overall project. If I have to do that on the side, then that's not a problem. I'm not really too stressed about that, but just be aware that can happen at times, specifically when we're using two-part epoxy like this. Sometimes if you use a UV resin or something like that, because you're hitting it with the UV light and it cures it quite quickly, you really don't have any of that separation because it creates more of a shell type effect, whereas this is more of a clear coat over the existing acrylics. The UV resin is harder at points and times, and sometimes it but don't get me wrong though, it can also pull up off of acrylic too. So unless you have a full coverage or something like that, or if it did peel up on the edges for any reason, then that UV resin will pull all of that acrylic paint up off that clay. So don't think that it won't. But I just wanted to really go out of my way to try out the Flynn Sister epoxy on a 3D sculpted, kind of like diorama item. If I do some more dioramas here in the near future, Flynn Sister two-part epoxy will be what I'm using, for instance, like I'm with this brush here. And I want to make sure that I'm able to use it successfully on not just a 3D sculpted item like a tumbler, but also like a full acrylic painted item. I want to make sure it comes out perfectly smooth and non-tacky, and it's going to work and stay very protected without losing the quality of the item or having to trash it because it comes out super sticky. Look at those blues and the turquoise and the yellows and the waves. We got good coverage over the whales as well as the two turtles, the little coupling turtles down there. And of course we have the actual volcanoes of the I Lava You volcano. Again, this is the last video of this overall playlist, so make sure you check it out here. It's about to pop up on the screen. Check out the individual painting videos as well as the full-length painting and sculpting Sculpey original playlist. I really did have fun with this project, you guys. What kind of wall plate do you think I should make next? I definitely will make some more of the next year or so. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and like, and I will catch you guys on the next awesome video.